So let me just do this real quick. But I can still be talking and shit. Because it's just casual. Where the hell is the Facebooker? Oh, we are live, I think. We just gotta wait on LC. He's been having to wait for me because I was running a little late. Hey y'all, it's Randy. We're gonna get started soon. I was running late. Now I'm waiting for LC. Hope y'all are having a great Friday. I'm having a good one. Just happy to be here and alive, making it in this world. So LC will join us shortly. I'm sure. Can't start talking without LC. He's the brain of the operation. He always has such good stats and things. Let me text him and see that, let him know that I have invited him to join me. And we will get to rocking and rolling. I am broadcasting live from my friend's house, my friend Terry's house. I'm not at home today if the environment looks different. Her pad is much nicer than mine, so we fancy today, y'all. We fancy. This morning, I presented for Eventbrite. I was on a conference about getting back together, having meetings again. That was pretty interesting, went pretty well, but I haven't heard from LC. This isn't good. I wonder if I should pause, you guys, or should I talk? Well, I'm gonna just talk till LC comes. Y'all know I don't need a partner to talk. So I got on Facebook today for about a few minutes and I went off. I typically don't do that. I didn't even know like what I said because I was just so angry. Because anytime I post something where we get into a discussion about slavery in the United States, about Africans being enslaved, I always have at least two non-Black people come on and say some ridiculous things. One, let me just ask this, and maybe this is a common thing. Maybe this happens all the time, but do you go on pages that are completely against what you believe in? Let's say that you are anti-Trump. Do you go on pro-Trump pages and just hang out and comment on just random articles about anything? Or do you have a life? I'm just wondering, like, do you do those things or do you have a life? And LC's joining right now. Hey, LC, I got it started because sometimes how I went live before I got you. So I started it and I'm telling them about how I went off today. I went off.
What happened?
So much I didn't say.
Who did what?
Every time I post an article about something that in any way references slavery. I mean, there's a few things people jump on. I have non-Black people who get on the article, right? And I'm talking about slavery in particular, because every article I write, I always have non-Black people who have to come and say something negative. And it's so clear how much they really want us to hate ourselves, right? And each other. And my first question I wanted to ask people on Facebook, hey, Facebook, I wanted to ask was, is this common? Because maybe I don't know. Do you go on pages where you just hate something? So like if you're against Trump, like me and you are anti-Trump, do you go on like Trump pages, like pro-Trump pages and just like sit there all day and make negative comments? Or do you have a real life?
I mean, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how many people do that though. Like, no, like, I mean, and it doesn't even have to be something as, or a person as notable in like a social or political space. Like you could take somebody like Kim Kardashian or something like that, and then you'll look at her comments and people are saying the wildest shit about her. I'm just like, why do you even follow this person just to speak poorly about them? It's a weird thing, but it's a lot more common than you think. Like
it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm like, if you don't flow with Black people, if you really just in your heart of hearts know that you're racist, that you don't mess with us, there's so many other pages to stay off the page. I have to ban, as you know, I'm telling you, and it's getting worse because they are so butthurt and they don't have, I don't know, they maybe need to plan another insurrection because they need to plan another insurrection because they're bored. They're bored.
They can get away with it too. So
they can get away with it. There's no accountability. And so, because they're clearly bored and they want to do something to fight back. And so what they're doing, one of the things they're doing is just like hanging out on the page and just making stupid comments. So that's the one thing that annoys me. But this is the thing. I love a good debate. I love an intelligent debate. It's actually my favorite thing. I love to be around people who are smarter than me. That's why I hang out with you, LC, because
I'm not that smart, Randy.
No, you are.
I'm not.
But if you're going to come on this page and make a comment, I need for your comment to be intelligent. I need for you to know what you're talking about. Challenge me on some stuff.
You're asking for a lot.
I'm asking for a lot. So I had to go off today, LC, because I've been hearing this week, they keep saying, oh, y'all can't say nothing about slavery because y'all participated in the slave movement. Black people sold other Black people into slavery. And that's been their defense against the slave trade. So I had to go straight off on that.
I mean, well, just on a simple level, right? If you want to talk about that, you also have to talk about the circumstances that were surrounding it. Circumstances in the sense that, okay, so if you're dealing with a colonizer who has no qualms with snatching motherfuckers up, and they basically tell you, it's just like, okay, you can round up some of your rival tribes, or we'll round you up.
Speak on it.
Or we'll come to get you. It doesn't make it right, but then the logical choice is going to be, well, if it's either them or me, I choose me. So I guess you guys got to. But that doesn't say anything to why they even put in this position to even have to make that decision.
There we go. So, because they're trying to act like it was some Africans chilling out, right?
And they said, you know what's a great idea?
Yeah.
Let's go get them motherfuckers over there.
You know what? And sell them into slavery in America. That's what they act like. First of all, they didn't even know America was there. They came to our continent.
Divvied it up amongst themselves.
Exactly. Specifically to enslave us. Then put people, and I told people, I said, I know to them, they think we're all alike, but in Africa, there was all these tribes, right? And so exactly as you said, they're like, look, either I kill and wipe out your tribe, or I wipe out
they're gonna wipe me out.
So which one? So of course, people are trying to survive because you have come. They see that you're brutal, they see that you have come to kidnap people. They're fighting for survival. Of course, they're gonna say, okay, yeah, take them. Let me show you how to get them. I'm gonna actually help you get them because they're trying to survive because you put them in that situation. They didn't volunteer for that. You made them have to fight for survival. So don't try to act like on their own free will, Africans started deciding to sell their fellow man, because that's not what had happened.
And then you have to even look at things like the trickle-down effect, in the sense that you look at the countries now, and they're not real delineations of who we were tribally. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on one second.
What's going on? Yeah, and it's one thing I want people to remember when we talk about when we became enslaved as a people. We came enslaved as a people. We didn't even speak the same languages. People are being taken from multiple tribes all across countries on the West Coast, right? Primarily like Nigeria. But we're coming from multiple tribes, did not speak the same language whatsoever, and were taken to this foreign land. So it's interesting to me how they don't try to tell the whole story, because you know what I realize is that they don't know it. And they're getting on this, on my site and many other sites, just spewing this, well, y'all sold your own people, because it's like they want us to hate each other, but what they do, and want us to have this infighting and not trust each other. And of course, our ancestors, Africans, did not want to sell each other. Of course, we did not come up with the idea of slavery. We did not benefit from slavery. The only benefits that we got was trying to survive something that they brought to our land, trying to survive when they put us at war with ourselves. But it was nothing that we started. And it really makes me sick, because we can't get any better, because it's like America won't own its past. Like America won't own its true history. And you see every other country, they can heal. You look at Germany and they can heal because they own it. But here in America, it's like they want to just completely revise. This revisionist history is disgusting. And so we cannot heal. And so the reason why I believe some people don't want to talk about the past, the real past, and what happened, is because they don't want to own the privilege they have today, right? Even, it's so funny. Another thing people always say to me is, Randy, why does everything have to be about race? Why do you talk about race? And that's always hilarious to me when people say it, because so you're aware, like back in the day, race was used to talk about families. When you talked about people being together, they used the term race. Race was not used in the same way that it has meaning today. And that did not start until the colonizers, until the settlers came over to America. And they were trying to create this economic system called capitalism, the system that we have today. And at first they thought it would start because they thought they would come to the new land and there would be gold and jewels, etc. But that didn't pan out. And the Native Americans, because they were already here, right? Okay, so nothing was discovered. The Native Americans were already living in America. They were already there in Jamestown when they arrived. Being the kind souls that they were, said, we can show you this crop called tobacco, right? Because the Native Americans had learned about the crop and they used the crop and they, used the smoked tobacco. And they said, this is, said, this is the way to go. So the Europeans said, okay, great. This is awesome. We'll make a ton of money on tobacco. But tobacco is a very labor intensive crop. It's extremely labor intensive. So they said, how are we going to get this crop, whatever you guys do to it? How are we going to get this crop? And they first tried to enslave the Native Americans, the very people who showed them the crop and it showed them the kindness. They tried to do that. The Native Americans fought back. Several did die, but they fought back, and they knew the land and they knew how to live off the land better than these Europeans who arrived. So the Europeans was like, well, we can't beat them because we're really in their hood. They know how to navigate this place. What we could do is go and get Africans. That would be a great place to go and to get some free labor. Well, believe it or not, there were a lot of people who had come over who were not for slavery. When these new settlers would talk about it, a lot of people were like, no, that's not right to enslave people. So what they decided to do, these Europeans decided to basically create a marketing campaign where they pushed the message that the races were different. Okay, and that white people were the superior race and Black people were closer to animals. They made it up. There was no studies or anything. They made it up because they said, this is how we could get away with enslaving them. We'll tell people they're not really people. And that's exactly what they did. Okay, this is real fact. And so that is where the idea of race came to be. And so when people say, why does everything have to be about race? I'm like, America determined that things were about race. We divided the country specifically. That is how we started. That is in the fabric of our country. That is in our founding documents, where Black Americans were not even considered full humans. And they did that solely to support capitalism. because you cannot have a capitalistic society without having a poor class. That people don't want to say that, but you can't. It doesn't exist. You must have some people who will work, right? And in that case, they were working for free. And so the reason why it's important that people understand this history is so we can understand how we got here today. And so when people say that they are try to suggest that racism is just about one person being nice to another person, is about a white person being kind to a black person or a black person being kind to a white person, or when they try to say when I'm talking about race issues that I'm being racist, there couldn't be further from the truth because racism is an entire system that uses power to control people. It's not as simple as one person loving another person or one person being kind. That would be great if it were that way. But the thing is that even if someone is very kind to you, but they're still getting paid more than you, or they have different rights than you, or they won't be stopped by a police officer as quickly as you are still living in a racist society. You're still living under racism, under a systematic of racism. And so when we talk about dismantling racism, it's talking about um, breaking apart a system on which we were founded, on which we were founded. So it's not that simple. And so it's important that people understand it, and people understand also the detractors that really don't want us to understand our history. I think it's so important that everyone understands the history. Everybody in America should understand the real history, and basically not the propaganda that was taught to us in school that made us seem perfect. And it's okay not to be perfect, right? All countries have blemishes, all countries have horrible periods. But you really can't do anything about things, about the present, if you really don't own the past. We will repeat the same mistakes if we don't own what's happening. And so, that's why I have these conversations here on Randy B. And it's just like annoying to me every time we have these conversations about race that are productive, right? It's like they try to shut us down. Some people try to shut us down and say, I'm racist for talking about race, which is ridiculous. Or that we're being too sensitive because everything's about race. We didn't create the system. And trust me, we would love if the system weren't created, because we absolutely would love equal rights, equal justice system, equal pay, equal freedom to move. We would equal education, equal mortgage rates, all of that. But that's not the way it is right now. So you got to understand racism before you work to tackle it and handle it. Um, One of the edicts of Randy B, I say awareness, love, and unity. It's about making people aware. Y'all all good over there?
It never ends. It never ends. We're good. We're good though.
Oh, good, good, good. So I just talked about race and racism and just like why it's important that we understand the real definitions of racism and race, and it always kills me. I mean, don't get me wrong, people show these beautiful videos of, a white kid hugging a black kid, and they'll say hatred is taught, racism is taught. And what I want to tell people is racism really has nothing to do for the most part with hate. If it was just about hate, I actually think most black people would be like, I don't care if someone hates me. Can I just have equal rights and an equal way to make it? It's not about hate. It's not as simple as who do you love, right? It's as simple as what is the system designed to help you or to hurt you? Is the system designed fairly for you to have the same possibilities, rights as everybody else? It's not just as simple as so who will love you. And that's why you see people say, oh, I can't be racist. I married a black guy or something like that. I'm like, yeah, you sure can though. You can. So yeah, just breaking it down. And and what I realize is that it makes me actually, they're firing me up to do more about history, because I'm realizing how much they don't want us to know it. And when
Because there's always been the phrase "history is told by the winner," where because it grants you the opportunity to craft the narrative, right? Where I forgot. I saw this meme, I think either just today or yesterday, where I'm trying to think about it, where it's just like, if this land was like rightfully yours, and you wouldn't have to like colonize it or something like that. And it's just like, yeah, like you like the whole, like I forgot who it was who said it one time, where it might have been Tommy Lawrence dumbass, but I forgot who said it, but it was something along the lines of like, or either Tommy Lawrence or Lauren Ingram, one of them. But it was something along the lines of just like, oh, our ancestors weren't immigrants, they were settlers. I'm just like, oh, so we just making up terminology to describe the same old shit. Like, okay, so you get to settle on some shit that ain't yours, but these dirty immigrants, because we've actually had this conversation before where all the things that they are fearful of other people doing to them is actually what they did to the Native Americans here. Just like you rolled up in their land, stole their shit, murdered a bunch of them, relegated the ones that are left to other pockets of the land, and then said just like, hey, yeah, no, we created all of this. I mean, wait, what?
Exactly. Okay, since you mentioned that, can I just talk about one other lie that they keep saying on the site that's pissing me off?
Go ahead.
I don't know why people want to suffer so bad, but this is the next one. My people were slaves too. When you talk about making up words, I need everybody to understand this. An indentured servant is different from a person being enslaved. One, people made the decision. So you had the right to decide, I'm going to take this really, really shitty ass job, right? Mm-hmm. Typically they signed a contract. So they decided to do it. So maybe they could call it slave labor in a way, but they decided. See, we didn't decide. Slaves were kidnapped. They were taken and ripped apart. Indentured servants said, we want to get out of this poverty that we're experiencing in Ireland or wherever they came from, and we will sign on to do really terrible labor to get out of this country, and it's for a set amount of time.
For a certain amount of time.
Also retire from being an indentured servant. Your time is up. So you work 7 years, and I'm not saying it was good work. You work your ass off for 7 years. You now own this little piece of shed or shack that you have, and you can get out of it. Just so everyone understands, there was no retirement plan for the Black folks that were the Africans that were enslaved. We were also taken. So just because your people may have had some shitty jobs and they might have felt like they did slave labor, it is not the same as being enslaved, where you are.
No, it's funny.
So you talk about someone from Ireland, they still in contact with their people. We don't even know who our people are. We don't even know because we were kidnapped. We have no idea.
No, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember around the time that Michelle Obama gave a speech where she was talking about how it's, surreal living in a house that was, built by slaves. And then Fox News lost its fucking mind, right? And then so they wanted to bring up, first off, there were two things. One, there was there were indentured servants working on that too, but which, looping back to what you were talking about, that was for a set period of time. And they were actually, in a lot of cases, they were given shit on their way out. That's that part. But then I remember Bill O'Reilly, before he got kicked off TV for being a dirty motherfucker. But anyway, Bill O'Reilly was like, oh, well, the slaves got paid. I'm like, no, they didn't. The slave masters got paid. Like the slaves, and then they talked about they got some nice clothes and they got a little shack to live in. I'm just, oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, boss, that you gave me some clothes that ain't have no holes in it so I could build your white man's house. What are you talking about, man?
I'm so happy. We so happy. We should be grateful for you, sir, for giving us that. What?
I slept in a good old log cabin tonight. Thank you, sir. Like, what? No, that's not the same. That's not the same. And the thing that, because if you're talking about things that drive you crazy, really what it boils down to in a lot of cases is the fact that people get so offended by facts. That's the thing. It's like they're literally getting offended by factual things that happen. Like, so when Michelle Obama gets up there and says slaves built this house, this isn't a matter of opinion. This isn't a matter of your feelings. This isn't a matter of, I don't like the phrasing of it. No, the fact of the matter is slaves were involved with the building of this house. You shouldn't be offended by things that actually happen.
Right.
But anytime you bring up things like that, like if you go right now and mention to somebody, we're talking about Native Americans, and go up to somebody and mention the Trail of Tears, everybody starts getting defensive. I'm just like, but that's what y'all did to them.
That's what happened.
And the thing about it is, they even that's a little blurb in the average social studies book, which in 2021, I don't know if that's still the case because they trying to rewrite social studies books all the fucking time. But I even remember, like, yeah, growing up, they might have given you a little chapter or a paragraph in a chapter about the Trail of Tears. It's like, and then we sent them on the Trail of Tears. Next, we did that. No. Let's go back and read about this. Let's talk more in depth about this. Like, so you're just trying to skirt on by all the things that don't make you feel comfortable. But that's very.
And then to add to the level, this is why it matters to me, to add to it, then they want to say to minorities, well, why aren't you where we are? Like, I mean, I don't understand why the blacks, I don't understand why the blacks keep doing da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, so the 400-year head start you had, like, well, it doesn't matter what my parents did. That's a fucking lie. Like, let's be clear. First of all, what is it, like 42% of wealth is generational, right? It's going to come from inheritance. Guess what we inherit? Nothing, because our people were enslaved, right? But two, it's like, I tell people this, I went to college because I had two parents that went to college. It doesn't take away the fact that I worked my butt off to get into college, to get good grades while I was in college. It doesn't take anything from me, but I recognize that my path of going to college was much easier than a lot of people's paths that did not go to college or did, because they didn't have the head start I had. I had a head start because of my parents. So for them to suggest that their generations of, 3 or 4 generations of things being passed down, even if it was crappy things, don't make a difference, it's just ridiculous to me. And I'm like, how do we fix things as long as there's this constant need for this constant white fragility and this constant need to deny real history? And I don't understand why they cannot take a page from other countries, a lot of other countries, and just be real so we can get better.
But see, because, well, that can be answered a couple of ways. Because number one, in order for you to essentially repent of something, you have to acknowledge that you feel it was wrong in the first place, which nobody's ever, like, when you have people like Steve King, which thank y'all for voting his ass out, but that's neither here nor there. But when you have people like Steve King getting up there talking about the greatness of Western civilization, it's just like, why should we feel bad for being white, et cetera, et cetera? It's just that, like, no, you guys are proud of the history that disenfranchised so many other groups of people. Like, people like him are proud of that. They're proud of it. But then the second part is, and when you mentioned the fragility part, is it's the same thing where when you hear men rant against the idea of toxic masculinity or something like that, right? Because it's just like the millisecond you say something that makes somebody question their own position, they just automatically get defensive. So when you talk about things like white privilege, the first thing you'll hear somebody say is, I worked hard. Nobody's saying you did.
Right.
And that's the part that people keep missing. Nobody is saying your life is easy. Nobody is saying that you didn't work to get into the position you're in. All we're saying is that you never had to deal with obstacles in your way. There's not a white person in this country. There's not a white person in this country that had to live through Jim Crow. There's not a white person in this country that had to basically be like a runaway slave to then go run to another part of the country that hopefully they won't sell your ass back. Like that's never been your reality.
I heard this.
It's never been your reality.
This white woman who's doing the work, she said, I have never gotten in my car and the police officer, comes behind me and I worry that I will die. She said, the worst I worry is that I will get a ticket. She said, that's never crossed my mind. I said, I can tell you, every Black person I know, you see those sirens behind you, those lights behind you, then you feel sick.
Like the last time, like we talked about this before, I even wrote about it before. The last time I got pulled over by the cops, I think it was maybe about either 3 or 4 years ago now, when it's just like, okay, So I literally have an armed cop with their hands on their pistol on each window of my car. Then the first question they ask me is, how many times have you been arrested? Right? Now, mind you, if you want to go look at me on paper, I did everything that you guys told me I was supposed to do to be an upstanding and reputable citizen in this society. But then the first question you get asked is, how many times have you been arrested? And then in the end, when he realizes that he ain't really got shit on me, he basically says, I should have bust your ass anyway for being a smartass. Okay, so now being a smartass is good enough to get all of you out here with your trigger fingers itchy to go do something to me. So yeah, I'm just as educated, if not more educated, than a lot of the people that want to get out here and talk all that bullshit. But I guarantee you've never had a stop like that. And that was just my most recent stop. We talk about, I know you've asked me before about things like stop and frisk. I can't tell you how many times I got stopped in New York. I can't tell you.
I am telling you, I don't know any Black man that has not had a situation with a cop. And I'm telling you, these are Black men who are doctors, lawyers. I mean, like, I don't know someone who does not have a story to say. And this doesn't mean, and also what kills me, it has to be dramatic. Like when we talk about the history, when we talk about racism, when we talk about police brutality, always they try to put these certain people try to put it back on us as if we're angry or we're wanting them to feel guilty. I really want people
how about yes, motherfucker, I'm angry. How about it now?
well,
What's up?
the thing is like, I really just want things to change. I don't think that really sometimes people understand how much most people don't give a damn how they feel. I don't care. Like, I really don't. I'm just trying to make things better for my family. I want, I don't like that, my son went to prom last week and I made sure that he had a driver because I didn't want his 6'2" Black self driving at 2 a.m. with anything that could be suspicious or anything that's happening. I just did not want it. I don't want to have to worry and make those decisions where I am not worried just about if my child has a good time and if his cummerbund matches his tie, but I'm worried about, will he get home alive? That should not be the country that we live in, right? And so that's what I'm trying to change. It's not trying to make people feel guilty. I want to make people be aware so we can make some changes.
It's funny. It's funny that you talk about it because I know in a previous conversation you talked about just like due to the nature of your job, you basically you have to be diplomatic when you're when you're in the room. And I know that I think you were saying that one of the last times you were there that you were basically saying like it's hard for me to do that today, like today especially because worrying about how you feel about what I'm saying. I want people to understand that for a second, to understand exactly what you're saying. As a regular Black person, right, who you deal with just like the mental anguish from the day to day. So on top of dealing with that mental anguish, like a bunch of you have the gall to expect us to then on top of that have to worry about how we express our anguish to you so you don't feel bad about hearing about the anguish that we're feeling. On a certain level, it's like, fuck you, honestly. That shouldn't be a prerequisite for us to make you feel comfortable about the shit that we go through because everybody wants to sit and feel like, oh, I'm a good person. First off, nobody is saying that you're inherently a bad person. That's not what anybody's saying. That's the first thing you jump to, which if the first thing you think is maybe, or are you saying I'm a bad person? What is it that you feel about you to make you think that that's what we're telling you?
Right.
Okay. That means you must feel something inherently that is just like, there's a certain guilt that you must feel internally that makes you feel that us even saying something automatically means we're coming for you. So maybe check yourself and check how you feel and your emotions and your feelings before you then turn around and try to turn on us. It's like, well, I'm not this and I'm not that. Wasn't talking about you, but am I talking about you?
LC, you're preaching. So that's another, we've been talking about issues. Another thing I had people come up and say, it'll be a non-Black person and they'll say, well, not all white people are like that. We didn't say that. Why does this have to be about you and how you're feeling right now? And I said, if you want to be an ally, if you're saying, because these people seem as if they're on the page, they're trying to learn. If you want to be an ally, allow people to have the space to vent, to be angry, or whatever, and not have this whole conversation. And here we are on a page where about 98,000 Black people gather, but not been a page where we have to pay attention to you because you're certainly feeling some kind of way, and we got to make you feel better and say, no, not you, you're good. Do you understand how arrogant that is, that you need for us to pay attention to how you're feeling when we're talking about, like you said, our pain? And so I wish that would stop where the white centeredness, right? So even when Black people are talking about issues that, dramatically affect us, it still has to be about white centeredness. And one other thing, LC, is like you said, you kind of want to say when these people are mad about, you have to watch their feelings when you're talking about it, when you're talking about white fragility, and you want to say, screw you. But the reality of most Black people, all of us really, is that we can't, right? Because they go to work every day, and the people who that are in leadership, I forgot what the number is, but something like 87% of all CEOs are white males. We really, are under this pressure where
you're operating in their space.
Yeah, we're operating in their space, and we can't make them feel uncomfortable. So when we talk about our issues, so Black people are having to go to work during, the trial, the Chauvin trial, where they're talking about George Floyd, and must almost act as if nothing is bothering us and we're okay, because we can't draw attention to our Blackness or our pain, because we don't want to make our white colleagues, co-workers, and most typically our leaders feel uncomfortable. So you are almost like tortured twice.
Yeah. yeah. No, and especially because, like you were saying, operating in their space, I know, for me, like working in predominantly financial, spaces, like generally speaking, I'm almost always the sole Black person. And then, that is, over the years, has gotten a little better. So there's either that, or I'm always like the youngest person in the room as well. So it's like, you're the young Black guy, and it's just, they're like, all right, man. So like, I don't have the seniority here. I'm the minority here. You don't want to rock the boat too much, because it's just like, hey, man, I actually do need this paycheck right now. and no, and there have definitely been times, especially in my younger days, where like I might have turned up a little bit, and I'm like, oh shit, man, here comes that firing, man. I need to tone this shit down. But exactly, it's exactly what you're saying. It's because it's always that fear of, you don't want to rock the boat too much and then put yourself on the outs. But then that could be a very stifling feeling. It could be a very, very stifling feeling.
Because there has been a really powerful campaign in making Black rights, Black pain, Black people a controversial political issue. So when Black people say, we really just want to have fair treatment by the police, we really want our lives to matter.
You want special treatment. Huh? You want special treatment. You want
exactly. You want special treatment, or somehow that's political, right? And me saying that, but this is how brilliant the campaign has been. Me talking about these issues in some way, asking for equal rights, or wanting us to have equal rights, somehow is controversial. And me expressing my pain means I'm angry. And so that angry Black woman trope. And our people will always say to me, I get, because I get these inboxes, always from white men for the most part, who tell me, they call me bitch. I get called bitch all the time, and tell me how angry and unhappy I am. I'm like, I'm a happy person. Like, I am very happy.
No, but I'm not. But that's weird. But that's weird to call somebody angry, but you're here commenting to me.
Right.
You're here commenting to me. Like, I've never gone out of my way to walk up to somebody just like, hey, yo, why you so fucking angry? Huh? I've never done that. Like, right. Yo, like, if I'm not pressed, I'm minding my business, man. Like, I'm going about my business. I've never sat back and said to myself, you know what? They look unhappy over there. Let me go fuck with them. Like, I've never done that. Like, nobody does that. Like, right. Clearly you're pressed about whatever it is you're saying, or I'm saying, Brady's saying. So it's just like, yeah, because the same thing too. Like, if I half the time my comments are in shambles, but the thing is, I've gotten to a point where like I find it funny now. I find it funny because I'm just like, this is insane what you're saying, and it's just like I don't even. You were talking about intelligent debates. I already know I'm never going to have an intelligent debate with this person. So I'm just going to let whatever they say roll off my back. I'm just like, wow, people like you exist. That's crazy.
Probably, honestly, I felt guilty about saying this, but I'm going to be very honest about it. When people who are clearly, to me, seem quite racist, whatever they say to me, I will honestly say, I mean, not even slightly, nothing they say bothers me. Like, I have such little respect and regard. It doesn't even like, you get like a tight in the chest, or you would think, I'm a black woman, somebody calling me a bitch, it would get me upset. Like when they say it, it literally is like, I mean,
Yeah, no.
and I guess if you don't have any respect, like they could call me any name in the book. I do not care.
That's like this Dave Chappelle joke where he was just like, he's like, you ever heard something so racist that you don't even get mad? You just sit back and you're like, wow, that's racist. And just go about your business. Like that's basically what it is. Like, wow. Like we talked about it before when Ron Johnson was just like, I wasn't scared during the riots, but if BLM did it, then I'd be scared. I just sat back and was like, wow, that's a crazy thing you said, but okay.
That's just racist. Like, yeah, you just gotta let you be.
I've got nothing for you. I've got nothing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trip, but what I will say is that I am sick of the whole idea that talking about issues that affect us directly somehow makes us angry or controversial or whatever. I'm done with that. I mean, there are all these tricks that people have to silence us. Oh, another one. I'm actually writing all the things I know I'm in here when they talk about. If you talk about a black man being killed by a white officer, it's like, what about black on black crime? I just did a TikTok on this. Look, most black people kill black people. You're absolutely right. But guess what? Most white people kill white people. Most Asian people kill Asian
Listen,
people.
I encourage people. I encourage people to do this, right? The good old Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Yes.
Right. They put out these things called statistics.
Statistics.
Right?
These are facts.
These like stats. These are numbers, right?
Yes.
Numbers. They break down percentage wise the racial makeup of murder victims and the people that murdered them. And like you were about to say, guess what? Every racial group predominantly murders its racial group. That's just how things work.
Are intraracial. We kill each other within our group. 84% of white people are killed by other white people. 84%. So, when someone says, what about black on black crime? I'm like, yeah, y'all, what y'all gonna do about that white on white crime? Like 84%.
Because the fact of the matter is, unless someone is just a serial killer, right? People mostly murder people they know. Right. So who are the odds of the people that know? So everybody that's out there talking all that stuff, probably, look around when you go outside. You probably, if something, unfortunate, not wishing that on anybody, but if something were to happen to you, it's probably somebody within vision distance of you right now. Like, I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. Like, I don't want you looking at your Nana crazy right now, but I'm just saying, like, if anybody were to do so, it might be Nana. It's not going to be the random Hispanic guy that you think is going to go run up on you and do something. Exactly. No, because the random Hispanic guy is probably worried about his own abuela somewhere else right now. Like, they ain't not worried about you. They're not. I promise.
No, and so this is the thing, like what you said, like stats, like when people come on here and they're telling me some stuff that their pawpaw said, that they learned, their pawpaw told them that black people were slaves, put slaves in slavery too, or whatever. I'm like, I need y'all, don't get me wrong. If you want to come on a page, come on. But I need you to come ready, and I need you to come educated on what we're talking about. Don't come with what pawpaw taught you, okay? Don't come with that. Come ready. And also with my sisters and brothers out there, make sure you know our history. It's important for you to know these things too, because they really do try to break us down. There's a reason why us learning to read was illegal, because knowledge is power. Like knowledge is power. And so it is important that you know what's happening. So like when people say black on black crime, you can say, I mean, first of all, what always kills me about that is, even if that were the case, what I do know is police officers ain't supposed to be killing us. Okay. Like, doctors are not supposed to be killing.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I feel like in the grand scheme of the conversations that we're having, I feel like that point never gets brought up enough, right? Like where you'll see somebody say, oh, but they resisted, right? you do understand that it is actually not the job of a police officer to just murder people, right? Like you do know that, right? There's a whole legal part of our system that's designed to determine the guilt or innocence of people. That's their job. And there's also these places that they send people when it's been deemed that they're guilty of some shit. That's literally what the purpose of it is. The job of the police is to hand them folks over to the court, so then the court can then decide if they are guilty. If Eric Garner was guilty of selling some loose cigarettes, let Judge whoever so-and-so say that you guilty of selling them loose cigarettes. It is not homeboy's job to put him in a fucking headlock because he's selling loose cigarettes. Go send him to the proper channels if you think he really did something wrong. It is not the job of police officers to just recklessly murder people. On top of the fact that you see plenty of instances that don't involve Black people where they can somehow apprehend the most dangerous of motherfuckers in the world.
Yep.
And they can safely hand them over, because I'm pretty sure the guy who shot up the movie theater in Colorado, pretty sure he's still breathing right now.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure Dylan Roof is still breathing right now. But somehow, but somehow, if you're Alton Sterling and you got some bootleg CDs, God forbid, man. So he went and burned the new J. Cole album. We gotta kill him. What? No, that's not your job. And because I remember even like the thing with Alton Sterling, like, oh, Alton Sterling had a gun on him. Guess what? Both of his arms were already pinned down by the officers. So you think he's magically got some Luke Cage strength that he gonna bounce both officers off of both of his arms to get the gun that's in his pocket to go shoot him? When I'm blanking on his name right now, the guy who's now paralyzed.
Oh, that they got shot in the back, and that's what I told people. It's a shame.
Yeah, and it was just saying like, oh, he was going to his car to get a knife. It's just like, who in the world is going to be surrounded by 5+ police officers with guns and say to myself, I got something for their ass. I'm gonna go get a knife in my car with my kids. What's he gonna do? Samurai their ass? No, nobody's doing that.
Right.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
I've got nothing for you people today, man. I've got nothing.
No. Let me say this. No, I'm completely no. I can't. I'm wide open today. I'm wide open. So what current event do we have? I mean, I know we said every week we're supposed to talk about the current events. What are we missing out? What's happened this week? Oh, I know it's Biggie's birthday today.
Yes, and it's funny. Like my friend talked about it, texted me about that and said. It's wild that he would have been like 49 today. And I'm thinking to myself, 49 is not even old.
You better say it's not old, because I'm 50, so I would have been real offended.
No, but think about it. It's just that like it's definitely not old, and he's already been dead for like 15 years.
Yep.
No, longer than that. 20 something years. 20. Yep. Yeah, 25 years. 24, 25 years. So he's been dead that long, and then he wouldn't have even been 50 now. Like when you put that into perspective, and I go back and think to myself, I think he died when he was 24, and I'm like, what was I doing at 24? Like 24, 24 is I think when my oldest child was born.
Yep.
And I'm just like, and back then I felt young as shit.
You were young. You were a baby.
So to think that that's when his life ended. Same thing with Tupac. People forget. Tupac has become such a mythical guy, which, rightfully so. He was 25.
I know. It's so
25. Wild. We place these people on these pedestals and still negate the fact that a lot of them were really, really, really young. We just watched Judas and the Black Messiah, and you realize Fred Hampton was 21.
That blew my mind.
21 years old.
Children.
It blows my mind because, one, he was so involved at such a young age, but then it also blows my mind because he was such a young age,
right?
And to be dead already.
And the
fact that the Bureau put that much effort into destroying somebody who was that young is crazy.
Yep.
Even you can run down the line, like Martin Luther King never made it to 40. Malcolm X never made it to 40. Like all these people were really young in the grand scheme of things.
And who they could have been, and those are the ones that, you know, are famous, but you know, we're always losing lives. And I was like, it should not be a goal just for Black men to be able to live. Like that's sad. And I don't know if people understand that that is how we think, like just let our men live, you
Yeah,
know.
it's can't say any more than that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's like losing every day. We got to talk about our brother that we lost this week. The best. He used to always say our stuff. Say, my brain just went blank. Because
Paul
I
Mooney.
just saw him.
Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney.
Yeah, Paul Mooney. I saw him in Oakland, you know, chilling. You know, he would say what others wouldn't say, right? And just a prolific man, just incredible. And I saw an interview with him where he said, you know, he never felt fear. He said, since I was 7 years old, he said, I never felt fear. And he couldn't have, because he used to say everything.
Yeah. No, he
Say
he didn't know what a filter was. And on top of that, it's like if you for all the people, like if you loved Richard Pryor, probably unbeknownst to you, you probably love Paul Mooney. Because
Yep.
Paul Mooney was involved with a lot of, you know, Richard's writing. And
Yep.
and it's like, yeah, like I mean, as you're talking about like that fearlessness. And it's like it's you can appreciate whether I'm not even speaking to whether you agree with everything he says or not, but it's the fact that it's like, especially what we were talking about earlier, whereas you're scared to shake the board because you're worried about the possible ramifications of how it might come back down on you. So when you watch an individual who just says, fuck it, fuck it, I'm gonna say what I want, go where I want, do what I want, without that sort of fear of reprisal, in a lot of ways, that's something to behold, because most of us never feel most of us never feel that level of freedom ever.
Ever. And what's interesting is that, you know, had he, as people say, sold out a little bit. And it's always interesting to me, people talk about selling out. And I'm like, we all sell out a little bit. We have to make it in America. Had he sold out, how much money, more money he could have made, how much more fame he would have gotten, probably, you know, just very different than he experienced, but he wanted to be true to who he was. Because it really is hard to speak candidly about issues from a Black person's perspective without getting serious repercussions. Oh my God, and speaking of repercussions, we have got to talk about University of North Carolina holding back tenure on a sister girl who did 1619 project.
Yeah.
She got the Genius Award. She got 2 of the highest awards that you can possibly get. And they're like, yeah, we're going to hold back tenure. Now, tenure, for those who don't know, tenure is given to professors, anybody in education, to protect them, because when you go to a college, you're supposed to be able to talk about and discuss all sorts of ideas, some which people will find controversial. You're supposed to be able to delve into anything. And so tenure protects you. So if you want to create a class on just talking about aliens, you can do that, and people can't fire you and say, oh, you're crazy. You can create, that's what tenure does. And so she did the 1619 project, tracing, giving a account of slavery through the actual slaves' perspective. Then they weren't slaves, you know, enslaved Africans' perspective. And they have held back because all these conservatives came down on the trustees board. Now,
Yep.
first of all, what are your qualifications to be a trustee, but the fact that you come from a wealthy family? That's it.
Money.
They ain't won no awards. They ain't done nothing. These are just
Money.
people. And they said, we don't want to give this woman tenure. But it, you know, you talk about Colin Kaepernick. You see all these times that when Black people speak out in a respectful way, and this is a project,
You will lose your shit.
You will lose, they will silence you and punish you as much as possible. And it's just horrific.
You will lose your shit anytime you like
Or be
going back.
held back
You
or held down.
talk about rocking the boat. Anytime you rock that proverbial boat, there's got to be some sort of ramification for it. And it's just like,
But they use the
Once
projects in
again,
schools now. It's award winning. She won the highest journalism award you could win for it. But because
well,
they don't like it,
we don't like that. So
but we don't like it. It makes us uncomfortable.
it's the same way that, like, you know, people who have enough money where they'll try to take things like evolution out of your textbooks because, like, no, we're going to talk about all the creationism in here. The earth is no more than 2,000 years old, 3,000 years old. And that's exactly what you're going to teach in our schools because you're going to adhere to, we got the money to say that you're going to adhere to whatever it is that we want the people to think or to believe. And it's like the thing that kills me too. And I understand. I understand in the sense that if you are being supported monetarily by a certain group of people. That's the thing that I hate about lobbyists, where these politicians go out and completely abandon their entire platform because they got in bed with some lobbyists. But it's just like, you as a university are just gonna cave
Right.
to this because you don't want to lose the purse strings of the people that are funding and fattening your pockets.
Right.
So it stops being about right or wrong a long time ago. Like a long time ago. It's just like,
I'm gonna
who
be honest
has
with you,
the
Kelsey.
money? What's that?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Of all the things, I mean, that has really, really upset me. I mean, because this was academia. I mean, this was, I mean, it's kind of like Kaepernick for me. When someone tries to even talk about something, and maybe because it makes me worry about me, maybe there's some whatever, but when someone tries to talk about issues in even the most innocent of ways, and even the most the ways under which we've been trained to do, like having a conversation, like writing books, like they did podcasts, they've done all these things, we still can be silenced and punished and held back. And that is terrifying to me. The power that is wielded and that Black people are being censored. It just is, to me, scary. And so, yes, we look at how we are, I don't know. I mean, it is quite frightening that if you dare talk about something that happened to your ancestors, that they will try to quiet you. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, that woman has worked her whole life
To be
and
denied what she rightfully earned.
that
To
she
be
writes
denied what she
and
rightfully
won
earned.
a genius award. So what that says is you can be the highest in your field, have accomplished the most. And if certain people in power with a certain level of money don't like it,
Then fuck it. You're
right?
fucked.
So there's still a form of, to me, enslavement. If I don't say what you want me to say, then I cannot make a living for my family. I cannot achieve my dreams.
That's exactly it.
And that is terrible and terrifying.
Either play ball or we'll just take the ball.
Right.
That's basically what it is. And
Right.
that lends itself to the conversation we were having earlier, where it's like,
Right. Full circle.
this is exactly why people are scared to say anything, do anything, because the fear of reprisal, the fear of what's going to happen to me now if I say something that's not in line or just doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy about yourself. Because once again,
about your past.
because once again, it says more about the person banning it than it does about the person saying it. Because it's like, you must feel such a level of innate guilt
and shame
that you have to shut this down. This is the same thing, like I mentioned this before when we talked about that episode of I think Finding Your Past, or whatever it's called, but when Ben Affleck shut that whole shit down, he realized it's like, oh no, his ancestors, they weren't just involved with the slave trade. They were some bad motherfuckers in that thing. Oh no, we gonna cut that part out. It's like, you cutting it out doesn't make it any less real.
Right. And just like
doesn't make it any less
kind of counseling, if you deal with it, then we could get better. Like, you can get rid of the shame and the guilt and work towards making things better and stop trying to act like it doesn't exist.
But I don't think it's a coincidence, right? That you go to Germany, they're repentant for that.
Absolutely.
Right? You go to South Africa, they're repentant for that. To me, it's not a coincidence that, I mean, of course, in the case of, like, apartheid, Britain will be like, oh yeah, we might have did a little bit too much or whatever. But like Britain and America will never tell the truth about America, because it's like people like to just fashion this as just an America thing, which of course, obviously it happened here, but it's just like when all of this shit started, they were still under British rule. So it's not like Britain was just completely just like, oh, I have no clue what they're doing over there. No. You knew exactly what they was doing over here, and you guys had a very heavy hand in it. And how much kickback to your good old royal family did you get from the taxes that were waged? Yeah. So it's not a coincidence that you'll never hear a peep from any of these establishments about what was really going on and how y'all made such a beautiful ton of money off of the backs of people. But then you turn around and say, you guys don't have shit yet?
And that's the part that, so why can't the blacks get themselves together? I'm like, are we serious right now? Like literally is like someone takes me, ties me up in their basement, feeds me shit, and then I get free. And they're like, Randy, why aren't you like where I am yet?
It's amazing that a country that literally reneged on 40 acres is then going to turn around and say, wait, so you haven't built up wealth yet? Like, you literally reneged on the shit you were supposed to give the people.
Right.
Denied them housing, which is like, a major part of people's wealth. Denied housing, Jim Crow laws. Cats couldn't even vote until our parents' lifetimes. You guys don't have shit yet, though. Like, black
people need to just work harder. And then when I say something like white privilege, and they get upset, I'm like, what?
But then no, you say white privilege, then they'll come back and say, well, what about the welfare? Then you come back and say, white women actually make up the largest number of welfare, and then the conversation dies.
Exactly. Affirmative action, more white women got jobs with affirmative action.
And then the conversation dies. And see, and that's the thing, like, know what? Like my wife talks about it all the time, where they're like, when it comes to like just overall like white nationalism, right? People are so married to this identity that they don't even know, in a lot of cases, they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Oh, right.
Meaning, if you're sitting here ranting and raving about affirmative action, right, without knowing that numerically speaking, white women benefit the most from it, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and you're too dumb to know it.
Exactly. Let me say this.
All these people on the welfare, but you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Obamacare, same thing. Let me say this.
Randy, hold on. I just had to get this. Because you mentioned Obamacare.
Yeah.
Because I forgot who did it. I don't know if it was Jimmy Kimmel. But when they asked people about Obamacare versus the Affordable Care Act, and then everybody was like, yeah, Affordable Care Act. Yeah, let's go get some. Obamacare, oh no, that's terrible. It's like, no, you dumb motherfucker. It's the same thing. Like, sorry to cut you off. I was just like,
that needed to be said. No, it's, I don't know. I mean, and so it's funny because when we're talking in, as I do the work that I do, and I'm trying to explain, like, because people are trying to become more diverse, right? And I always have people say, well, we don't want to have quotas. We want to hire the most qualified and not have set asides, right? And so I'm looking at them and I'm like, either you're extraordinarily arrogant to think that in the history of your company, the most qualified people were 99% of the time white and male.
Right.
Because that's the case. Like you, is that what you're thinking? Like there wasn't a person of another race, there
another
wasn't
gender,
not once. Or you have to accept that maybe we all suffer from a level of bias. And I tell people, I said, when we put programs in place, right? When we're putting, whether it be affirmative action or whether it be quotas in hiring or whatever it is, because they always think, oh, we're being so nice to you. I said, no, you are putting things in place to pay back or to, repent from a wrong that was done. You're not just, but people see these programs, they see things as poor, pitiful Black people, they can't pull themselves up. Oh, they're so terrible, they're so lazy, they won't work. And we are creating these programs because we're such good people and they need it. And I'm like, The programs are created to start to try to right a wrong because we were used for free labor for so long. And I even need Black people to understand that, because I'll hear Black people saying, well, I don't want to take anything, I deserve it. Yeah, you deserve it, but you probably will not accomplish or be at the same place as a white person equal to you because of the legacy of racism in this country. And we have to be real about it. And that is why the definition of racism matters. The history of racism matters, so we understand why we do the things that we're doing today. So if I say and it's funny to me because I can talk about it with women. I can say to them, equal rights for women. Women didn't have this right to vote. We didn't have this. And people are like, yes, equal rights for women, no issue. But when I talk about Black people, all of a sudden it becomes controversial. And wait a minute, it becomes something
different. And the thing that's amazing too, right, is that this whole idea of getting something you didn't deserve, right? But then when you turn around and look at most of these universities, and you know that the greater part of it is made up of legacy.
40%.
And it's just like, so 40% of the people in this institution right now are solely here off the backs of somebody who preceded them. That is not how being earned at all. And
LC, let's also add on top of that, we weren't allowed to go to those schools. So we can't even benefit off the legacy that white people benefit from, because due to segregation, we weren't even allowed to attend these colleges, right?
Or if you're Georgetown, they were selling us.
Oh yeah.
To keep their doors open. Yes, people, you heard that. Go Google Georgetown slavery.
Slavery, absolutely. Yeah. And then they'll say
slavery kept their doors open, literally.
And that's why people do not understand because they don't know their history. They'll say to me, well, Randy, what about Black privilege? You all have your own colleges and your own magazines. I said, that's because y'all wouldn't let us into yours. We created
we had to do it
because we had no other option. So again, knowing the history, knowing the truth. We've been on a long time. Facebook people, thanks for rolling with us. LC, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
Of course. And now y'all see that we got a schedule now. All right, we got a schedule. We got a schedule, people.
We're trying to do 3:00 Pacific time, 6:00 East Coast time live. I was in traffic today, so we were a little bit late,
And on top of that, I want people to know that, Randy and I, we have a lot of interests. We would like to talk about a lot of different things. We just need the average people to stop fucking up so we can get to it.
Fun stuff, right?
Stop fucking up.
But hey, have a good weekend, everybody out there. We have a little freedom now. Well, I know some of y'all in certain states have had a bunch of freedom. Florida, I don't think Florida even did the coronavirus. They just act like it didn't exist. I don't know, but but enjoy your weekend, peeps.
All right. Take care.
Take care.